Hey everyone, welcome to day 2 of 25 days of reselling. My name is Jennifer. If you are new here, welcome. I love having you. I am doing 25 days of videos, all resell related content. This is going to be kind of in replace of Vlogmas. So today's video is a Q&A, kind of get to know me video. I've never really done anything like this on my YouTube channel, so for some of you who follow me on Instagram, you might know a lot more about me, but if you do not and you only follow me here on YouTube, then I did send out a questionnaire on Instagram about a month ago, and I wanted to do this video, but I went ahead and put it off a little bit, so this is the perfect time to do that. I sent out another questionnaire a couple days ago as well, or just yesterday maybe, to get some more questions, and I have a good bit, so I think it'll be a fun mixture. So let me go ahead and get started. So the first two questions I'm gonna kind of answer together. It's how did you get started reselling, and how long have you been reselling? So I've always been somebody trying to find different ways of making money since I got my first job at 16 years old, and I worked at a cookie company, and I just loved having my own money, getting a paycheck every 2 weeks, especially when you don't have any bills. The money, you can do whatever you want with it. So ever since then, I've done yard sales anytime I would have items, and I would try to accumulate. I would take my sister's stuff, my mom's stuff, and I would always want to try to sell it. I did Easter baskets, so I would make curated themed Easter baskets and sell those during Easter time. I did the same thing with Valentine's Day baskets. During Christmas, I would do like pre-boxed cookie boxes and baked goods boxes, and I would try to sell them there. None of those things, though, particularly I had a true passion for. I just enjoyed doing it all. I enjoyed being creative and just making the money. So when I got a little bit older, even, I decided that I wanted to go online to try to make money. So I started on eBay about 2012, and I would sell a lot of extra trading cards. So I did collect a lot of different variety of trading cards, basketball, baseball, a little bit of football. I kind of just had some randoms in there, and big time Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, I would get so many of them, like for the Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh!, and I would get a lot of duplicates. So I wanted to find a way to make money off of those duplicates so that I could feed my hobby and continue to buy more packs. I just started selling random lots, just doing auction. I never did buy it now. I just did auction, and it was just so fun to see the auctions go up and up, just right at the last minute, the bids just kind of going. And I didn't realize then that that was just a very good niche of items to be selling on eBay. And then a lot of other cards. I did sell locally as well to different like comic book stores, trading card vendors, and things like that. Or I would do trade-in to buy some fresh cards for myself. So with that, I found eBay. Now, when I really started to resell was just about 2 years ago, so I have been reselling for about 2 years. I have been full-time for about a month now. I am a fresh full-timer, but I have been, pretty dedicated to reselling for about 2 years. And that was, I was buying a lot of different brand name workout clothes because I was weightlifting, weight training, and things like that. And those clothings were from different countries, and it didn't make sense to return them, but I didn't like them. They didn't fit right, so they were great items, and I wanted to find a way to resell them. So what did I do? I went again to the internet to find ways to sell them online. And I found a stream of different websites and of course eBay, but I didn't see eBay as to sell clothing. I was like, I'm not gonna sell clothing on eBay. That's for, cards and vintage and, the cool stuff. So I found Poshmark, and then that led me into a whole of YouTube videos, and I was seeing how people were making actual income reselling and selling on Poshmark. So I put these items up on Poshmark. It was pretty easy. My photos were very dark, but they were great items, and they sold fast, and I was hooked. I was immediately hooked. I loved how quick they sold, how easy the process was. Poshmark is a very simple platform to sell on as far as once the items sold and to get shipped out, so it was easy to learn. I continued to watch YouTube videos, and then just like my mind kept growing with excitement and reality of making a side income with this. So that's kind of how I started. That was a long answer to that question or those questions, but I think that that's the most curious question that there was, or for the most people that asked me that, and that's something that I like to hear everybody's background with also. I mean, it kind of comes down to a little bit of a inner interest of making money and then just finding a way that works for you, and I finally found something that works great for me. All right, so that segue, I'll go ahead and answer the what do you like most about reselling and what do you like the least. I like the most making money, and I like that I'm good at it. I like that it's a new journey pretty much every day, that it's always changing. It's definitely not repetition. I like being in charge of myself and my hours, my workflow, my ideas, the creativity behind it. So all of that stuff I think kind of just goes in one, like being my own boss is what I really, really like the most. And that I can make money off of it, so it's not just a hobby. What I like least is the listing. The listing is definitely what I like the least. It's the most boring because it just reminds me of sitting at a desk, being in an office where you just don't do anything. You just sit there and you have to list and list and list, and it becomes tedious. It's not hard, it's just tedious, it's boring. I get too distracted, sidetracked with other things, and so I can, even though I could work for 18 hours in one day, I could not list for 18 hours in one day. I would go crazy and it would drive me mad. So eventually I'd love to get an assistant, a virtual assistant, somebody that could do the listing for me. So I would do the photographing, the measuring, and I would even maybe do the drafts, but they would just kind of finalize everything and post everything to other websites for me. I don't think I'm at that point yet, especially just starting as a full-timer. I really need to be cautious on how I spend my money and see exactly how my money grows for a while, but that's definitely something to consider in the future. So a little bit of a personal question is, do I have any siblings? Yes, I do. I have 3 siblings. I have an older sister, a younger sister, and an older brother. So I am kind of smack in the middle. My younger sister, her name's Rebecca. She's the one that you guys have probably seen on here before. I have done a video with her, and she's a lot of fun. She'll probably jump in anytime, like if I wanted her to. Definitely not like a camera shy person. My older brother, he used to live in Georgia. He's recently moved to Texas for about 2 years now, and he may or may not get on camera, and his name is Christopher. So I have my younger sister Rebecca, my older brother Christopher, and then my older sister, her name is Crystal. She actually lives in Iowa. Her and my brother-in-law were in the military, so they did move around because of their jobs and things like that, but now they are stationed in Iowa, where my little nephew is. So they do have one child. His name is Ezekiel, and then my brother has 3 kids, Cassie, Chloe, and Colby. So I have 2 nephews and 2 nieces. That's just a little bit extra there for you. Okay, so another fun one, what was my best and worst pickups or flips? So one of my best flips was fairly recently. They were a pair of Rothy's. These were Rothy's shoes. They're flats. I found these for $3 at Goodwill, or $3.99 maybe. I can't remember if it was $2.99 or $3.99, but I put on my Instagram. I was so excited. I never found Rothy's before, and for them to be that inexpensive was just a big plus. They were actually my size. They were perfect color red. I thought about keeping them, but they weren't really my style. I think if they were rounded versus pointed, I might have kept them. But I listed them and they sold fairly quickly for $92. Now that was a little bit less than I was hoping for. I really wanted to get around the $120 price mark. However, this buyer did communicate with me and stuff, and I don't, if I'm making a good flip on it, I'm not going to be greedy, but at the same time, I just don't want it to devalue my items and then, drop the market and stuff for Rothy's. So if people start selling Rothy's at $50, then that's a lot of money that a lot of people could lose out on. So I definitely don't want to do that. But I was happy to make that sale, $92, so $4 into $92 even after fees. That was a really good flip for me. One of the worst pickups, I pick up a lot of bad things. There's not really a worst because there's quite a bit of just bad pickups. But I did find at the Goodwill outlet, also known as the Bins, I've only been there twice, one in Austin and one in San Antonio. Not really my cup of tea. I love the concept. I love, the little bit of treasure hunting. However, it's very crowded. It's very packed. There's a lot of, rough and tough, annoying, rude people. And I, don't mind that. Paying up a little bit more to get a little bit more of a luxurious, stress-free shopping experience. So that's not something that I go to a lot, but I did go there one time in the one in San Antonio, and I found a men's toupee. I don't know why. If it would have been a wig, just a women's wig, a long wig, real or fake hair, I would have been like, cool, this is awesome. These will sell really well, especially if it was real hairs. Oh man, this is a great find. But for some reason, it being a men's toupee, I don't know if it was real or not. It felt real. It looked real. It just kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies. And that's not like a bad thing to find, I guess. You know, I've heard a lot worse experiences, but for me, that's probably one of the worst memorable experiences. And that I think too was kind of like, okay, I'm done with this. Not to mention, you can smell pee at the Goodwill bins, and there's so much like dirtiness and stuff like that. So let's move on to the next question. Okay, so the next question, we can go with the favorite ways to source. So you can imagine that the Goodwill bins, the outlet, is definitely not my favorite way to source. It's a little tough one. I love thrifting because you have a large store that you can go to and see a lot of items, so you have a good possibility of you don't know what you can find. But garage sales are really close. They're a close second. Garage sales, because garage sales, yard sales, usually you can find the best deals, and not everybody is, you know, flocking to garage sales and yard sales all at the same time, because there's a lot of different ones going on a lot of different days. So you have a better chance of getting electronics, games, household appliances, like those really good ticket items that will sell quick for you. So it's a little bit of mixture of both, but if I had to choose only one place that I could source for the rest of my life, it would be thrifting, and it would specifically be Goodwill, because I just have so much great luck with Goodwill. A few different ones. I definitely have my favorite go-to, but Goodwill is going to be the best for me. Another question was one of the funniest or weirdest things that I found, but I guess I kind of answered that already with, you know, the kind of worst found item. So one of the maybe funnest things that I found was another pretty recent sell. This was a Star Wars lightsaber kit. It was brand new in the box. I found this at a garage sale. When I asked the lady how much, everything else was priced very cheap, very inexpensive. And I kind of was like, okay, she'll say $5. And she said 10. I thought $10. And then I really looked at it and I saw that was a lightsaber kit. And I said, oh, this would have to sell for at least $40-50. Well, then it turns out that online there was only a few of them. I was going to have the only brand new one. The last new one that sold for $225. So anyway, this ended up being a really, really good flip, and it was such a fun item because I do like Star Wars. My boyfriend is a huge Star Wars fan as well. So finding Star Wars items, I know that they're going to sell well for the most part, and depending. And this wasn't even vintage, and it still sold for $150 and pretty quickly as well. So that was very fun to find and to sell. All right, another little personal question, kind of go together is, am I married and do I have any kids? I'm not married. My boyfriend and I, which is the love of my life, we have been together for 10 strong years. So 10 years we've been together, and we've lived together for the past 2.5 years now. And that, you know, he's my boyfriend, but he's my soulmate, the love of my life. And we don't have any kids. We have 2 dogs. So Maximus, which is my English bulldog, and Luke, which is our German shepherd. So Maximus I've had for 9 years, of just about 9 years now. So he's about almost 9 years old. And Luke, we actually got together, and he is about 2 years. So about a year. He's a year and a half, going to be going on 2 years. And they're great. They are enough. We love our freedom, and with the dogs we have options when we want to go on vacation or go fishing, go somewhere, you know, over the night. We have really good options with our families that can watch our dogs, no problem at all. With kids, it's a little bit different for us to just get up and do what we want and live our life the way that we want them, and splurge on extra hobbies and take risks and chances. So I'm not against having kids, but I'm 32 years old. I guess, you know, technically I could still have about 8 years, but I don't think it's in the cards for us. I really think that we would make great parents. I think he would make an amazing father. I think I would be a pretty good mom, but that's not enough to say, well, we would be good parents and raise good kids for us to really push towards having any right now. But you never know, minds can change and, just like that. So, but as of right now, kids are not in the cards for us. This is a great question. I was actually excited. This was one of the, I don't think that I've really heard anybody answer this question before, but Valerie over at Valamilk, which she does have a YouTube channel as well, she kind of hit me up with quite a few questions on Instagram, which I loved. I really appreciated that. And this was one that I found very interesting, which is, does anyone else in my family resell? I like that question because I think maybe we assume that for the most part when we're resellers that our families just don't understand, our friends don't understand, that the only kind of connection we have for reseller related, is for reseller relationships is online, through our social media, our YouTube and stuff like that. So no, technically no one else in my family resells. My dad does kind of resell locally, not as a hobby or anything, but large items, things that he has that he wants to sell and that I tell him no for me to sell on eBay. He will, him and my stepmom, they will put them on like OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace. My boyfriend will kind of do the same thing like with Craigslist. He is actually going to start taking over the Pokemon side, so I'm very excited about that. And my mom, she would love it. She doesn't really have the time to do it, but she has purchased things with the idea of reselling it. But I need to really teach her and like train her on eBay, show her what to do, because I think that would be an extremely fun outlet for my mom when she retires. That would be a way for her to still make some income. I think she would absolutely love it. She's the one who got me into thrifting and started thrifting, taking my sister and I when we were younger to thrift stores, and my dad really got me into garage selling and yard sales. He loves to go to those. So technically there's no other resellers, but I think that, reseller blood, that thrifting, treasure hunting blood does run in the family. My sister is probably the biggest one to be, it's not her thing. She does not care for thrift stores. She loves organization. She wants to go to a rack and have the shirt that she likes in multiple color options and multiple sizes, and she can just pick up from there. And that's it. So her, not so much, but she does help me with a lot of things. My family is all very supportive. I'm glad that my boyfriend is kind of getting into it, because Pokemon for us reselling is completely a job on its own. That is definitely something, it's huge. It's too big for me to take on with my reselling business right now, because I do like a strong focus on Poshmark, and Pokemon cards aren't really the type of item to sell on Poshmark. So with him doing that, I hope that it really, takes off and picks up, because then we can kind of do this together, but him have his own thing and me have my own thing. Okay, the next two questions I'll kind of just answer together. It was what is my long-term goals as far as reselling goes, and then also where do I see myself in 5 years. So 5 years is a long-term goal. Yeah, I would go ahead and say that that's considered a long-term. I can kind of even go into that further for a projection of what I want with reselling. I definitely want this to be my end game. Of course, bigger, better, larger, growth. But I do want this to be my end game as far as being an entrepreneur and consistently turning my money into more money. So reselling is something that I see myself doing for long term. I do expect in 5 years to be a lot larger and to have multiple more streams of income. Right now, I've decided to not take on any more platforms, because eBay and Poshmark has been a strong focus. I really want those to kind of start making money on their own without me having to do too much more work, so then I can expand into probably Facebook Marketplace and Amazon would be the next two large ones I consider. I technically sell on Mercari, but I'm kind of fading out on Mercari a little bit. Just not really worth it for me right now. I think that there's a lot bigger fish in the sea for me to sell from. Now, I know a lot of people do have like their own websites as well. that might be something that I would consider, but that would be after my growth has been very, very strong. My customer base has grown, my audience has grown, my name, my business, myself has really grown. Then I would consider having a website, but I don't know if I would do that within 5 years. I'm not sure, so that might be something, even after 5 years, that I would have my own branding, my own name, Jen's Closet Gems, maybe even a storefront. I really love the idea of having a storefront, a place to go, like a little mom and pop shop, a little antique store where I can sell my items, but they're a little bit of random thrift items, so I don't want to necessarily be a thrift store, but some sort of secondhand shop. I also wouldn't be an antique store because I don't really deal with antiques, so I have to really find the right option. Also the right price, because that's a lot more overhead, a lot more cost, and it may or may not be worth it. Now, I live in a really good area where there is a lot of secondhand shops, so there's a lot of competition, but that also means that there's a lot of interest in it. So I think I would be successful, and I know it might not be like the best business strategy, but I just want that. I want a physical place of my own that I can go into work, open up the store, sip on my coffee, turn the open sign, and have customers come in to still have that physical relationship with people. But it would be, less. It wouldn't be packed. It wouldn't be a large, Target or Walmart or anything like that. I think that would just be fun. I think that would be a nice, even safe kind of retirement plan, or if I have enough employees at that time to kind of run my online sites, that would be amazing, because then I can focus on having my little shop. All right, the last question I have is, what items do I like sourcing for the most? And it was also, what items do I like selling the most? So I source a lot of clothing because it's very plentiful for me. There's clothing everywhere at great costs, and I know that clothing does sell very well. It definitely, and it sells on all platforms. Clothing is a lot of work though, if you want to be very successful at it, because you have to steam, you have to wash, maybe you have to iron, you have to measure the chest width, the waist width, the length, the inseam, the rise, even like belts and shoes. Sometimes people want you to measure the sole of the shoe, the length of the belt, how far the first hole is. There's all these sorts of things that you would have to measure. I had somebody just ask me yesterday if I can measure the rim of a hat. This is just a pull-on stretchy hat. It's sized medium large. So you have to measure a lot of things like that. So it is a little bit more work versus just finding, games, scannable items, video games, electronics that you can just pull up information from other sellers. But I have to say that vintage items are definitely one of my favorite items to look for, and that's anything. That's vintage clothing, vintage accessories, decor, games, books. I do just like a lot of vintage items, especially 80s and 90s. I was born in the 80s, but I grew up in the 90s, so I'm definitely a 90s kid. So all that nostalgia I really like to look for. Pokemon and Mario and Star Wars, Ninja Turtles. There's a lot of variety in that I like, especially even, band tees, concert tees, and stuff like that. Those are hard for me to find though. They're not very plentiful around where I'm at, or I just don't get to them fast enough. But I'm always keeping an eye open for those types of items, because that's what I'm most excited about listing. And we know now that listing is one of my least favorite things. So if I find the stuff that I'm very excited about and that I really enjoy, then that makes listing a little bit easier. All right, so thank you so much, guys, for watching. Hopefully the video wasn't too long for you. Hopefully you enjoyed it, some of the answers, getting to know me a little bit better. I just figured that this was the best time to include this video, because this is just another little segue into the next 23 days now that you will be spending with me. If you have any questions or comments, of course, the comment section below, feel free to ask me anything. I'm an open book for the most part, unless you're asking for my social security number or something like that. But all right, I will see you guys tomorrow. I hope you're having a good day. Bye.